What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got another winning One Piece deck for you. There was a 200 plus player tournament over in Thailand. Thailand Carddass over on Facebook have gone and shared the winning decks, and actually the number one deck was Kaido. And I want this to be a good deck, right? I said this in a couple of different videos. I want Kaido to be good. I want to play Kaido. And I am absolutely delighted that it turns out this is in fact a good deck. I know. So let's go and have a little bit of a look, shall we? Starting off with the leader, who is of course the Kaido from the starter deck. And what we've got here is 5,000 power, 5 life standard from Monocolor leader. And activate main Don -7 once per turn. Trash the top card of your opponent's life. And that is trash, so any triggers don't activate because it's being trashed. And you've got to return 7 Don back to your Don deck in order to do this. That's a little bit awkward, but it's clearly a hyper powerful skill. So how do we get around this? Well, in terms of characters, let's go through as we have in the past. Just going through, well, in terms of cost. That seems like a fair way to do it. And there is a 1-cost character that we do see here. We have got an entire playset of Kurozumi Orochi. Sorry for any pronunciations here. Now this is from Romance Dawn. You got 1 cost, 2,000 power, 2,000 counter, which is good. And when you play, you reveal an artificial devil fruit smile from your deck and add it to your hand. This is actual search. In a way we don't get in a game like Digimon, this is pretty gosh darned good. And we have to go slightly out of order here because obviously we need to know what artificial devil fruit actually does. What we've got here is a 2-cost event, and the trigger does what it would do normally. And you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose a smile type character that costs 3 or less, and play it. Which is kind of awesome. So basically what we've got here is a 2-cost card that lets you play a 3-cost character, and you can search it out nice and easily. I like this, ladies and gentlemen. I like this very much indeed. But spoiler alert, a card's not in this deck. This isn't played for the skill. It is a 1-cost character that has counter plus 2,000. That's why we're playing it, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're playing it. We've then got a playset of Kurozumi Higurashi. 2 cost, 3,000 power, counter plus 1,000, blocker. Simple as that. 2 cost blocker, got counter. That will do very nicely indeed. Now, in terms of 3-cost characters here, we got ourselves a playset of Sasaki from Romance Dawn. 3 cost, 4,000 power, counter plus 2,000, which is good. But Don 1, when attacking, you may trash a card from your hand to add a Don card from your Don deck, rested. Remember, the skill we've got on the leader here is nuts good, but hyper expensive. We need, if we're going to be playing these kind of purple decks, we need ways to play extra Don. So you know what? Yeah, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. And then we've also got a playset of Who's Who from the starter deck. 3 cost, 3,000 power, on play Don -1, KO up to one of your opponent's 3 cost or lower characters. So you've got an instant KO on one of your opponent's characters, which is clearly very good. What I will say here, as a trigger, you also get to play this card, obviously for free. So this is a rather nice advantage. It's nice to have some cards that when they come out as triggers give you big advantages. This is absolutely one of them. Now we do have a playset of Ulti here from the starter deck. 4 cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 2,000. You'll notice there are a few of them in this deck, that's not a coincidence. But on play, Don -1, play up to 1 page 1 character with a cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying. So when you play this, you can essentially lose a Don, put it back into your deck, but you can do that to play another character for free, as long as you've got it in your hand. So yeah, that's going to be a big advantage. And then the first card we've actually got that comes in as a 2 of, rather than a 4 of, we've got page 1 from the starter deck, an actual vanilla character coming in as a 2 of. 4 cost, 6,000 power, counter plus 1,000. The important thing here is that generally speaking, leaders have 5,000 power, and the tie is in your favour if you're the attacker. Which means in order to counter and stop this, you've got to counter at least 2,000, and that's not going to be the easiest thing to do. It's just a decent attacker if that's what you're looking for. Plus, of course, worth pointing out, this is page 1, and I just told you that with ulti, you can play page 1 with a cost of 4 or less for free. This is a page 1 with a cost of 4 or less, and as a decent attacker, they make a very nice pair indeed. Moving into 5 cost characters, we've got X Drake, 5 cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 2,000, and when you play Don -1, your opponent trashes a card from their hand, but you've also got counter plus 2,000. So again, we are just teeming with 2,000 counter cards, which I do not think is a coincidence. Means you can ward off a lot of attacks, but also being able to make your opponent trash a card from their hand. It's only one and they get to choose and all of that, but still, this could be a very impactful thing if done at the right time. And then we got a playset of Queen, again from the starter deck. 5 cost, 6,000 power, counter plus 1,000, blocker. And the blocker here again, your opponent has got to try and get to at least 5,000 power to get an attack through the leader. Having a blocker with 6,000 power means it's going to be really awkward for your opponent to start getting attacks past this. Plus on play Don -1, you get to draw 2 cards, and then discard a card from your hand. So you're getting to see, you're only having a card advantage of 1 card, but you are getting to see cards in your deck much more quickly here, which is going to give you a big advantage drawing into the kind of things you need. Now in terms of 6 cost characters, we do have one, but we're only playing it as a 2 of. It is the King from the starter deck, 6 cost, 7,000 power, but when you play Don -1, to KO up to one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 4 or less. So again, we've got automatic KOing here, not the first time we've seen this in the deck. Plus, you got a pretty powerful character, and that's quite nice. But then we get up to the really big characters, the ones that your opponent are going to struggle to, stop you playing. So we've got the super rare King, which comes around in Romance Dawn, and what we've got here is 7 cost, 7,000 power. On play, Don -2, KO one of your opponent's 3 cost or lower characters, and one of your opponent's 2 cost or lower characters. So when we get up to the high end here, we are really going after our opponent's characters. And sure, it's generally on the lower end of power, and that's not ideal and blah blah blah, but we still get to go after them, and that's rather lovely. We then get into what I like to call the Kaido portion of the deck, because there are 2 characters left that we need to talk about, and they are both Kaido. So we've got ourselves 2 copies of the 9 cost Kaido. This is the one that came around in the starter deck. 9 cost, 10,000 power, so at this stage your opponent is going to have to really start countering up in order to stop you. When you play Don -5, you may KO one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 6 or less. Then this character gains Rush. The KO in a character of a cost of 6 or less is big. That is the majority of characters as it stands at the moment. But then you're also telling me that I've got Rush on a 10,000 power character. I can attack right now the turn I play a 10,000 power character. This is pretty big, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty big. And then we've got the even bigger Kaido, the super rare from Romance Dawn. 10 cost, 12,000 power. Absolutely gigantic. Bearing in mind, you can only have 10 Dons. You've got to have them all in order to actually play this. And then when you play, you've got to put 6 of them back, Don -6. But if your leader has the Animal Kingdom Pirates trait, KO all characters other than this one. Yeah, that's nuts. Essentially, it takes the game down to the leaders and this Kaido, but you've got a 12,000 power character out, and your opponent's not got a bunch of characters to try and block or stop you with. That sounds very, very good to me. And then we finish off with some event cards. Not Devil Fruit Smile, which is a little bit weird, but we do have ourselves 3 copies of Blast Breath. This is from the starter deck. 1 cost, counter Don -1. Your leader or one of your characters gains 4,000 power. In terms of countering, 4,000 power is absolutely huge. We then have 3 copies of the 2-cost Thunder Bagua. Yeah, let's go for that. That sounds about right. As a trigger, you add a Don card from your Don deck. Set it as active, which is big. And as a counter, your leader or one of your characters gains 4,000 power. Then, if you've got 2 or less life, add a Don from your Don deck and rest it. So again, we've got big countering power of 4,000, but we're also getting Don out, which is pretty gosh darn nice. And then we've got the very expensive Brachio Bomber. Now this is also from the starter deck. It's 6 cost. As a trigger, you add a Don card from your Don deck to your cost area active. Yeah, it's another one. But as a main, you KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, and then add a Don card from your Don deck to your cost area active. So your event cards are again getting your Don out in the same way that Sasaki was, and that was very, very useful indeed. And then we're actually playing that stage card. We're playing a full 4 copies of the only stage card we've seen in purple so far. Onigashima, 3 cost, activate main. You may rest this card if your leader has the Animal Kingdom Pirates trait. Add 1 Don from your Don deck to your cost area in rest. So I've told you that purple are very expensive. We've seen how many skills in this deck have Don minus. But between this and Sasaki and some of your event cards, now we are actually playing a whole bunch of extra Don as we go through the game. And that is pretty gosh darned important. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, that is purple, and this is my kind of deck, right? I've settled on Purple Kaido, I don't know why. That is the starter deck I'm going to get at the Super Pre-Release, because remember, they are special at the Super Pre-Release, and this is going to be what I'm testing and playing when it's properly out over here. This is my jam, and I am delighted. If someone can win a 200-person tournament with this, it is absolutely legit. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think this is good? Do you think this is amazing? Or do you think this is overblown? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.